Welcome, my friends, to the Chef Lance Show, and we're in for a fall treat. It's Thanksgiving here in the United States, and we're making pumpkin pie. Let's cook this thing. All right, kids, let's start making this pumpkin pie. We're going to start by making a flaky pie crust. First thing I want to do is whisk my dry ingredients in there. I got some sugar, baking powder, and salt that goes in there. I'm going to whisk those together for a few seconds. Now, next thing that goes in is our butter. Now, I just pulled this from the freezer. It wasn't in there overnight. It was there maybe 10 minutes. But I want extra cold butter because the warmth of my hand as I work this is going to cause it to melt a little bit. So, all right, kids, with our clean hands, we're going to come in and start working the butter into the flour. What I'm doing is I'm actually squeezing it, grabbing flour and the butter, and when I press and I feel butter on my fingers, I drop it. And we're going to do this, and like I have a mouse in my pocket, I'm going to do this until I have it into a crumbly mixture. Probably should have chopped these up a little smaller, but it's all right. So I'm going to work this, and when it gets closer to where I need it, I'm going to bring you back, and we are going to proceed with it after that. So see you around the corner. All right, we're back. So now I've got it as mealy as I want it. So the next thing is I'm going to add some ice cold water. I think it's going to be a half a cup. So let me there we go. We've got some apple cider vinegar is going to go in here. And I'm going to pour this in, work this in a little at a time. And I've also got one lightly beaten egg. And I'm going to start mixing that with my hand. It's important as you start baking to use your hands. I mean, that they give you a feedback signal as to what's going on with your dough. I just love the feel of dough. I can feel it coming together. The reason we're working with ice cold water is we don't want that butter to melt. We want it to stay solid. And then when it hits the heat of the oven, that's when we want it to melt. But what's going to happen is the water inside the butter is going to turn to steam and expand, and that's what creates the flaky layers. All right. Probably could have held off on that last little bit of water. But when I roll it out onto the surface here, I'm going to lightly dust it with flour so I can hopefully compensate a little bit right there. Put a little flour on the board. Now I'm going to turn this out. Sorry about that. Now what I want to do is I want to fold this as I'm kneading so that I'm creating layers, similar to what you do when you make a good old country biscuit. Ever so often you just take your hands and rub them together with a little bit of flour. And that just takes it right off. Then you can pick it up off the board. The feel of dough is so satisfying. Now, let's see, what do I want to do? I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to roll it a little bit. Make some more layers. It's always helpful to dust your rolling pin. Now, fold this over, fold that again. This is the way croissants are layered. Coming together, and oh, it feels so smooth and silky. All right, now what I'm going to do, cut this in half. I'm going to wrap both of these in plastic wrap, and they're going to hang out in the fridge resting for about an hour. Okay, and when I bring you back, we'll start on the pumpkin pie filling. See you around the corner. All right, guys, I've got the chilled pie dough out of the refrigerator, and it's been on the counter for probably, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. So it's warming up a little bit. And it's a little softer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this thing out and put it in my pie pan. First thing I'm going to do is lightly flour my countertop. Get that all done. Then I'm going to unwrap it. And put it down. I'm going to lightly flour the surface. Now I'm going to roll it out. So what I'm looking for here is I'm going to try to get about a 12 or so inch round. I know this is kind of rectangle, but we'll work with it. I should have shaped it better before I put it in. That's my fault. I'm going to try to get this thing to about 1/8 of an inch. So when rolling, start from the center and roll out and rotate. I'm going to continue rolling this out till I get it to the thickness I want and the size I want. And at that point, I will bring you back from around the corner. Okay, guys, that is about it. The least round pie dough I have ever seen, but it's going to work. I've got it rolled out to my thickness, about 1/8 of an inch. It feels really smooth. This is a gorgeous dough. I'm pleased with how it's turning out. Now I'm going to put it in the pie shell. So what I'm going to do now is just lightly roll this up like this. I'm going to bring in a pie pan here. I'm using a Pyrex type of a pie pan. I don't know if that's the brand name or not. And what I want to do here is I do not want to stretch this dough at all, because if I were to stretch it, it's going to make thin spots, and that is not good. So I'm going to lift up, and when I do, I'm going to get some slack, and I'm going to make sure that it goes into the corners, or the edge here where the bottom turns up. I'm going to shape it like that. Make sure that is perfect all the way around. All right, so now what I'm ready to do is I'm going to grab a knife and I'm going to trim it up. Okay, now I'm going to trim it up. I'm going to leave us some extra. This is about right here. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to do this all the way around. Just cutting the excess off, but I'm leaving a little bit of an overhang so we can make a little fluted pattern. Now, you don't have to let these scraps go to waste. You could do some decorative things with it. You know, this is fall, traditional pumpkin pie season coming up on Thanksgiving here in the United States. You could turn those into fall leaves. You could cut them into pumpkin shapes. You have like a cookie cutter or different shapes. You can use that. Certainly sprinkle them with a little brown sugar, or there's that kind of brown sugar that's kind of crunchy. Can't pronounce the name, but you don't have to let these go to waste. One of the things we like to do at home is we'll take these, I spray them lightly with a little cooking spray, and then just add regular granulated sugar to it, bake these off, and they become little sweet crisps. So something to think about. So now I am not the best fluter in the world, but I'm going to give this my best shot. So I'm going to come up and push that like that. Come on. Here we go. So I'm going to continue working my way around. And then I've got the oven preheated to about 400 degrees, and we're going to do what's called, well, first, okay, let me finish that. We're going to blind bake this thing, and I'll show you the steps to do that. But before we do that, I'm going to wrap this in plastic wrap and put it back in the refrigerator to chill for at least 30 minutes. Because right now, after rolling it out, it's been out for several minutes, it's a little bit soft, and I'm not going to put it in the oven like that, so we'll get this ready. So I'll bring you back when I'm finished doing this bang-up job here. So I will see you around the corner. Oh, by the way, I get questions about this. I've been questioned all day. I didn't cut myself with a knife. All it is a scratch. I don't even remember scratching it. I just felt something on my hand and looked down. There was a little puddle of blood from a scratch I rubbed up against something. So I wore the larger bandage because it actually adheres better on this part of my hand than does a regular Band-Aid. So fret not. Nothing bad happened. In fact, I don't remember anything happening at all. So, all right. So now I've got this fluted. I've got a little excess I'm going to trim. But, guys, I'm going to wrap this up and put it in the fridge. And then when I bring you back, we're going to get ready to blind bake this thing. So I'll see you around the corner. All right, guys, I've got my, my chilled pie crust here, unwrapping it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Even my ugly decoration is it's beautiful. This is going to make a beautiful pie. I'm so happy with how that looks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to what's called blind bake this, which means I'm going to bake it without any filling in it. The purpose of this is I want to pre-bake the crust. Now remember, the pumpkin pie filling is very liquidy, so we want something sturdy to hold up to that without getting soggy. So we're going to pre-bake that. Now the way we do that is with a thing called pie weights. So you can either use parchment paper like I have here, or you can use aluminum foil. But this is going to go, the weights are going to go down inside. I'm going to help it out a little bit by doing a quick little crease. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now then. So pie weights. Now what I use is some old black beans that I have. And by the way, people ask me all the time, can I use these black beans after I blind bake, cook them? And the answer is, well, you can try, but effectively, no, you can't. The reason is that the baking process dries these beans out so much that you would it would never actually soften as they cooked, and you would not like the results. So what I'm doing is I'm filling this up. This is to prevent the crust itself from bubbling up so that it cooks in one piece, and we don't have to break any bubbles, which would create a tear in our little little crust that the filling would run through. And so there we go. I've got this. Now what I'm going to do is pop this into a 400-degree oven. I'm going to bake it just like this for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how fast it's getting color. Bring it out, take out my pie weights, and then I'm going to turn around and put it back in for another 10 minutes. So here we go. Let's go to the oven. All right, guys. So it's been about 15 minutes. This is a 400-degree oven, so it's hot. So please be very careful. Now what I'm going to do is very carefully grab the corners of my parchment paper, holding my pie weights, my black beans, and I'm going to pour them into this bowl here to cool. These are very hot. Please do not touch them. Allow them to cool thoroughly before you attempt to actually put them back in your container. So now I've got my pie crust. I'm going to put it back in for about another 10 minutes. And you can see I did get a couple of bubbles. And I'm not going to worry about those small ones like that. But I didn't spread it out enough, I suppose. Some people ask me, by the way, do I have to use black beans? No, there actually are products made to be pie weights, ceramic or even metal. But those can be pricey, and black beans aren't. So I'm going to put this back in the oven, and once it's ready to go for the next step, I'll bring you back around the corner. All right, pulling this out of the oven. What I'm going to do next, I'll set this over here on the stove so it doesn't burn the counter. I'm going to place this on a wire rack so it can cool, and I'm going to do that for about 30 minutes. And you can see it's a very light golden. But it's going to cool here for at least 30 minutes. And then while it's cooling, I'm going to go make the pumpkin pie filling. So see you around the corner. All right, kids. So while that dough is resting, let's go ahead and make our pumpkin pie filling. I've got my brown sugar and my white sugar here. Let me break that up. Oh yeah, I'm gonna love this. Absolutely love this. All right, now got some cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, cardamom, a little salt. Get that rocking and rolling in here. All right, now I've got 2 cups of pumpkin puree. Now this is not canned, this is homemade. I've got a video on that. I'm going to put a link for you to go watch that. So super simple, super quick. Make your own pumpkin puree. That's easy for you to say. And just so much more delicious. Then you can impress your friends and neighbors, your family gathering for Thanksgiving, your potluck, whatever it is, with them letting them know you made it homemade. All right, now I've got 3 eggs lightly beaten here. Tell you what, those spices, they just, so amazing. So I'm just going to incorporate all of this. Then we're going to add some, once I mostly get that sugar dissolved. Now what we're going to do, now we're going to add our vanilla. And this is a sorghum molasses. And I only need a couple of tablespoons. This is more than that, so I'm going to carefully. My grandfather used to make this on the homestead that my dad was born and reared on. Get that thoroughly mixed now. Then the next thing is I'm going to add some cream to this. Now, while the pie crust is chilling, I'm going to put this in and chill it as well. All right. When we're through chilling, I'm going to bring you back. So I will see you around the corner. All right, guys, our pie crust has cooled, and now it's time to fill it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ooh, that was not nice. My goodness. Fingernails on the chalkboard. I'm going to swap out this wire rack for this sheet pan with some parchment paper, just in case, you never know, it might overflow. I doubt it, but it could. So this, anyway, better safe than sorry. Got this nice pie crust here. It's looking really good. So now I'm going to pour my filling in we just made, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven. Look at there. So I'm going to scrape all the lusciousness out. I don't want to miss out on a single drop. Now I am going to very, very carefully carry this to the onion. Easy for you to say. Carry this to the oven. What's going to happen? We're going to have it in there 45 to 50 minutes until there's just a slight jiggle in it, because we'll bring it out and we'll cool it, and it will firm up as it cools, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, in case the edges start to brown too quickly, I've got some aluminum foil ready to make into some strips that I can cover this, but I will only do that if necessary, and if I have to, I will show you how to make those. Okay, so in the oven we go. See you around the corner. All right, guys, I've got it out of the oven now. I'm going to bring it over. I did have to put on those little aluminum things on the edges. You see it's brown, but it would have burnt had I not done that. So let's take a look at this. How do you know when it's done, right? You see it's got a slight jiggle to it. It's been in for about an hour at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So, what we have is a pumpkin pie that's ready to cool. Now, you can see here I made a little boo-boo. You see that? That's where the aluminum foil dipped down and created a divot. So I'll tell you, that's not a problem. So I'm going to cut a slice right there, and then I'll put a little whipped cream on it, and it'll look just fine. What happens next? Well, we're going to have to let this thing cool for about 3 hours. As it cools, it will come together and firm up, and we'll be ready to slice in about 3 hours. So I'll see you around the corner. All right, my friend, our pumpkin pie has cooled and is ready to be cut. So let me get to that, because right after cutting comes tasting, my favoriteest time of the day. All right, so here we go. Now, you remember I had this damaged area from the aluminum foil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the pie, the piece like this, and then I'm going to put some little whipped cream on there. So we're going to cover up that mistake. Let's get my knife in here, cut. Be careful with the edge, because that is very crispy. I don't want to break it. There we go. You need a small spatula when you're doing this. I couldn't find my pie spatula, so I'm using this small one. Oh, come on, get that piece. I'll have to fix that. All right. Yeah, I'm going to put this on the plate. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is put a dollop of whipped cream on that. Remember, I'm going to cover that little mistake up. See you around the corner. Also, I'm going to take a couple pictures, then I'll see you around the corner. All right, kids, it's my favoriteest time of the day, and it is tasting time. So we're going to dive into this. You ladies first. I'm going to grab a little bit of this whipped cream. What do you think?
I do like that. I didn't bite down into the crust. Not a big crust person.
You're not a crust person.
No. Not even for pizza.
Mmm.
Very creamy.
Mmm. Not only is it delicious, the texture is so smooth, unbelievable.
Chicken leg last night.
Mmm. Mmm. Got my coffee ready. Guys, this is so super simple. If you've never done one of these before, try it. I think you'll enjoy it. Making the pie dough is one of my favorite things. I love working with doughs anyway. But give this thing a try. Find a nice pie pumpkin, not a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, but a nice pie pumpkin, and make this pie. So, happy Thanksgiving, and until we see you again. That was didn't come out right. So let me. This is what you call an outtake. Happy Thanksgiving, and remember this: a day in the kitchen beats a day of working any day. We'll see you next time on the Chef Lance Show.